Oh. Oh. I knew I wasn't gonna clear it. I knew I didn't have the speed. I knew it was sketchy. And I was just like, yeah, I'll pull up, it's gonna be fine. I broke my collarbone. Why do I keep doing this? It's like, it's this rushing. It's gonna rain tomorrow. If I don't do the jump today, then the video's not out. But really, I should have waited for that lip to dry, adjusted it, moved it, and now I have a broken clavicle.
You think so?
I know so.
You feel it?
Yeah, let's go to the hospital. Oh God. I don't know how to even move myself so that I don't f it up worse. Since moving to Asheville, my backyard trail system, Berm Creek, has become one of the most beloved backstories on my channel. But this summer, it took a backseat to quite a few projects. I traveled, attended events, entered a film competition, and even helped my friend Alexander build a van to live in full-time. Between all this stuff, I was either behind a computer or trying to make filler content while recovering from injuries. I sustained many injuries this year and continually rushed back in, only to make mistakes for lack of practice and patience. Okay, I'm done. Among other things, these injuries have prevented me from tending to Berm Creek, which has more or less delivered great content without destroying my body. Until now. Amy's driving me to the hospital. I'm pretty sure I broke my clavicle. It hurts really bad. Just pulling up and going for it wasn't the right thing to do, but it's like, oh, okay, if I don't clear the jump today, then I can't get the video out this week. And like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? I'm gonna case it? On a sunny Saturday morning, I decided to restore Berm Creek to its former glory. I'd have 2 sunny days before torrential rain, so the plan was to spend Saturday undoing 6 months of neglect, and Sunday building and riding something new. It would be tight, but I'd have Kevin to help me dig on Sunday. For starters, I needed to clear all the plants that had encroached on the tread. My backyard resembles a meadow more than a lawn, and that's fine with me. I prefer these weeds to actual grass, but they are tough to keep under control. It was cool to see the trail reveal itself again little by little. Using a leaf rake, I cleared the debris and all the little pebbles that had made their way to the surface. Fresh tread looks awesome, and through plants and leaves decomposing on the surface, the red clay had become a bit loamier. After clearing the trail, I needed to spend some time on the landing to the drop. Because it's so steep, the tread tends to wash away here and get really gnarly and loose. My goal was to widen the tread, move some of the dirt back up to the top, and grade it out for a smoother landing. Although I don't have an excavator, this little tiller can break up turf and spit out rocks much quicker than I can, and it weighs about as much as a chainsaw, which makes it easy to transport on slopes. I used the tiller to cut the landing a bit wider and break up the soil so I could shape it the way I wanted. I also bought something else, a McLeod. I can't count how many of you have suggested I get one, and I don't understand how I got by without it. It moves way more soil than a rake and can be used for so much more. Like most of Berm Creek, the landing is red clay, so it's easy to work with and packs down well. But red clay also turns to peanut butter when it gets wet, making it basically unrideable, unless you want to ruin your trail. So if I wanted to build anything else on Berm Creek, it would need to be finished, ridden, and filmed by the end of Sunday. The next morning, Kevin came by to help dig. Since we'd only have half a day to clear the bottom of the trail, grade it out, and build the rollers, we decided to start with something small that could be expanded upon in the future. My plan was to build a set of small rollers that could either be pumped or jumped. We could have just started digging and building dirt piles, but that would have left us with some serious drainage problems. So we excavated the entire area so it could be graded to shed water. That involved removing brush, flattening the ground where the rollers would be, and building up the turf in low areas that would otherwise become puddles. In hindsight, we really should have just worried about that stuff later. Today, we have to build the jumps by like 2 o'clock and have them compacted and ready to ride, because then we have to film it before dark so that I can make a video this week, because it can't run into tomorrow. Tomorrow's raining. By 2 p.m., we barely had enough time to pack, ride, and film these 2 very small rollers, which, to be fair, were about 14 feet apart. I mean, at the hospital, they asked me if I hit my head, and I was like, my head feels fine, but I think I was just... Oh my God.
That's a big crack.
Let me see the side of the helmet. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this helmet's done. I just got this helmet in Arkansas to replace one that I cracked. This is just not good, man.
It's no bueno.
All right, well, I'm about to dig into that food. So let's roll up to this thing, see how it feels. Okay, that's gonna be tough. I mean, if this thing's gonna be a true roller, I'm gonna need to make the backside way bigger. For now, it's okay, because our goal is to try and jump it. You know when you get good at hitting jumps, you know whether you have enough speed to clear it?
Yeah.
There's no way how slow that jump is running that I have enough speed to clear it. The really challenging part to doubling these rollers is setting up after the berm, if you even want to call it that. This berm just kind of formed by riding into it, and while it's fun, it does very little to help you maintain control and speed into a jump. It will need to be made bigger in the future, but on Sunday, we didn't even have enough time to let the rollers harden.
Yeah, bud. Oh. Breathe. Just breathe for a minute. Breathe.
I've been hurt plenty of times, but have never made those exact noises before. Maybe it was the wind being knocked out of me, or maybe it was the utter surprise of what had just happened. Oh. I knew I wasn't gonna clear it. I knew I didn't have the speed. I knew it was sketchy. And I was just like, yeah, pull up, it's gonna be fine. If you remember in the spring, we lined the trail with rocks to make it look more purposeful and delineate it from the yard. I think I even mentioned how they shouldn't be regarded as a hazard, because this is, after all, a mountain bike trail.
That's why we use double deck.
You know why I don't worry about that? Because mountain biking. But those rocks ended up being partially to blame for the severity of my injuries. I broke my collarbone.
You think so?
I know so.
You feel it?
Yeah, let's go to the hospital.
You want some help, brother?
And my self-diagnosis ended up being spot on. Except I didn't realize that my scapula, or shoulder blade, was also fractured in the crash. Okay, they cut one of my favorite Diamondback shirts. I don't even know if they make this one anymore. Obviously, my clavicle is broken, and my shoulder blade's actually fractured, which they told me is like really uncommon. And I ended up getting what I wanted. Content. Except this wasn't the content I intended on getting. This will need to change, and believe me, I've had a lot of time to think about it. So as it stands now, I won't be able to truly ride until February. And here in Western North Carolina, the winter is one of the best seasons to ride. While it sucks for me, it'll actually force me to let my other injuries heal, and I should come back better than ever. Until then, we've got lots of repair tutorials, documentaries, and other good stuff that doesn't involve me risking my skeleton. And if you're sitting on the sidelines injured too, I've got a special video for you next week. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.